Hi, folks. This is Don Meissner with the North Country Fishing Report. I've talked a little bit over the past about marabou jigs. And when I went to the last sports show that I just returned from Massachusetts, one of the things that I found there was these new marabou jigs that were made by, well, they weren't made, they're being sold by Meissner Company. And it made me think, okay, I've gone years and years of my life fishing using bucktail jigs. That's what we call them, hair jigs. And I'd never really used marabou before. The first time it came to my understanding or I was able to react with it, I was doing a TV show with Jonathan Robela, who's one of the best fishermen in our area. And Jonathan said, okay, I think I have something special, but when you put it on, don't fish it like other jigs. Just slowly reel it in. And he gave me a little brown marabou jig. And so my question, and probably a lot of you are asking, what is marabou? What makes this jig so special? Because we were able to catch a 6-pound largemouth, or no, it was a smallmouth bass on that marabou jig. It astounded me. But more important, it was the way I had to fish it. He said, don't jig it. Just reel it very slowly. So, jumping ahead, number one, what is marabou? I looked that up because I wanted to be able to describe it to you because I really didn't know. I knew it was fluffier, softer than any other material I'd ever seen in a jig. And it comes from the breast feathers of either turkeys or chickens. And not from other birds as much. That's where this comes from. And there's probably many, many different grades of this. But this has very special properties. And what it is that every fiber of those feathers, and if you've ever felt those feathers, they're softer than anything I can just, it's as soft can be. But also, each one of those tentacles, each one of those fibers, each one of those individual hair or fibers of the feather are unique and they're separate and they don't combine when you throw them in the water. So what happens is you've got something with hundreds of little movements. Each one of these tails of the feather will undulate in the water with the slightest resistance. And what it makes is a jig that looks like no other jig you could ever throw. It just comes alive in the water. But there's keys to what makes it special. Slow. The slower you fish it, the better, because it gives them a chance to look at all these little pulsating hairs that are coming out of this being that they must think it is. They can't resist it. And it's different than any other bait you can throw. It's been kept a secret for years. And the top smallmouth bass fishermen, especially in Canada, knew about this, discovered it. They weren't going to tell this. You know, any fisherman that's in competition is not going to spread the word of how he's winning. He's going to keep that a secret because he needs an edge on other anglers. The marabou jig can be an edge. But, again, the key is to fish it very, very slowly. That's what really makes it effective, makes it come alive. And where it's best is in the waters that we have. The St. Lawrence River is clear as an aquarium. And the clearer the water, the more the fish can see those little vibrations, those little quiverings of the bait. If you just move it a fraction, it's going to quiver, look like something alive, and they can't resist it. So this is probably one of the best tips I've ever given you. If you haven't used marabou, give it a try, and don't try to do anything other than just let it be itself. That's the key to this kind of bait. Until next time, folks, this is Don Meissner with the North Country Fishing Report.